So I've been scouring the internet trying to find ways to help build my channel. And one of the ways I've found is being brutally critical to a movie that was made about 20 to 30 years ago from a studio that primarily makes kids movies. And being as unfair in the process as possible is definitely a point in my favor. So I thought, hey, why not me, huh? Airbud will have to wait because tonight we are doing Disney. It is? Well, here it is.
Adieu.
So one of the main issues with The Lion King is that Scar fits neatly into the overused trope of the flamboyantly gay villain. Obviously not, but you have to start somewhere. Yeah, there's Ursula, who's probably the biggest problem when it comes to Disney villains, as she was based off of a famous drag performer, Divine. Pink Flamingos, John Waters really liked her. But you've got a whole bunch more. Cruella de Vil, Hades, Jafar, Gaston, and the worst perpetrator, Clayton. Yep, Clayton from Tarzan. Not gonna explain any further, but if you know, you know. Scar is essentially just a sassy gay uncle. The only evidence I need to provide is the way that he says,
Oh, I shall practice my curtsy.
But going deeper, the differences between Mufasa and Scar are apparent. Mufasa being portrayed by the masculine, paternal voice of James Earl Jones, built like a boulder and crowned with a flaming red mane. Very masculine, very desirable. And then you've got Scar with his posh accent and very lithe and dark. He has a certain flourish, and his scheming nature contributes to the evil gay trope that has been in cinema for almost 100 years now. Like, back in the black and white days of movies. It's just tired and lazy that every villain in this era of Disney fits this mold almost perfectly, and Scar is a prime example of that.
And this'll all be mine?
Everything.
The idea that the circle of life is an endorsement of a system of divine right and monarchy. What, don't agree? Think of the opening scene. Literally every animal in the Pride Lands comes to witness Simba's baptism? Birth? And all of the animals cheer. Why are the zebras compelled to pay their respects to the child that will probably be feasting on their hindquarters in the coming weeks? And I'm not just, saying that. The movie acknowledges this. Mufasa tells Simba that they eat the animals to nourish their bodies. But when the lions die, and in probably a much less violent fashion than the antelope, the lions' bodies become grass, and the grass feeds the antelope. Sounds like one group's getting a better deal than the other one. And maybe this delicate balance is kind of a mass gaslighting project. When the proper ruler isn't sitting on the throne when Scar has his coup and takes over. A famine hits and all of the food disappears. It is only once the rightful heir is back on the throne that the lands begin to prosper again. As if God himself would only choose to bless the kingdom if the ruler chosen by Providence is in command. And speaking of divine right monarchy,
Wow! If you're hungry for a hunk of fat,
there is a song dedicated to wanting to see your father die so that the proper systems of succession can take place and you can become the rightful monarch. Seriously, I Just Can't Wait to Be King is probably the song that good old Chuck was humming to himself since 1994.
Noah saying stop that!
what you don't
Noah saying
realize.
see!
But all of the songs have been played too many times, and you Disney fans, you just gotta get over it. They're overrated. Elton John? More like, your songs are boring and I don't want to listen to them anymore.
Pumbaa, you are a pig.
You know why. Next.
How did you?
According to real-life lions, a pride is usually comprised of one male, maybe two, and a bunch of females. So, according to real life, Simba and Nala are at best cousins, at worst half-siblings, so move on over, House of the Dragon. We got the real OG incest movie right here. Okay, wait. Am I really doing this? My heart's not in this. I didn't actually write 10 reasons why The Lion King is cringe, because I love The Lion King. Look, I love The Lion King. You love The Lion King. Everyone loves The Lion King. And if you don't love The Lion King, you are probably a sociopath, and I don't trust you. Seriously, that's probably in the DSM-5. Look, I get it. Okay, I do. People like consuming media criticism that is negative. It's fun to write things that are just ripping apart movies, and it's fun to watch when there is genuine outrage being expressed in the work of criticism. When it's a legitimate form of criticism, that is. Not all negative criticism is equal. It makes you feel smarter and better to talk trash about a movie that people worked for months, if not years, to try to make it for an audience. But here's the secret. You're just not. I'd like to take some time to discuss film criticism and analysis on the internet. Because, let's be honest, it's kind of exhausting. How many pop culture critic channels are out there that just bash movies for being woke? Years ago, there was an influx of film reviewers that would talk about the bottom of the barrel film criticism that resulted from cinema sins because of their extremely bad faith reviews or jokes about movies. And for a while, that seemed to be the worst of it. People taking their direction from cinema sins, commenting on plot holes, or cliches, or ex machinas without knowing what those terms even meant, or not knowing that sometimes that's a feature, not a bug in a movie. Because cliches and plot holes only are a problem when they are not done effectively. Just pointing out common things in movies isn't new. Joseph Campbell did it in 1949 in his Hero with a Thousand Faces, and that's nearly 500 pages. However, in recent years, I've seen media criticism channels hit an arguably even lower point than CinemaSins, and that is saying something. And to explain this, I will use an actual conversation starter that I've had with a real person. Ash, do you want to take this straw man? Because they always have? This sort of comment usually comes from somebody who is, let's face it, on the right side of the political spectrum. But it also comes from somebody who has no idea how to tell a cinematic story. All movies have messages. They're called themes. And this trash opinion, it's become more common with the cultural pervasiveness of the term woke, which honestly doesn't have any definition anymore. All you have to do is scroll through pop culture YouTube to see that people, white dudes mostly, who look like me, they are complaining to high heaven about wokeness in mass media. Whether it be a political message in a movie, or if it's just a person of color on the goddamn movie poster. Like, I first saw this really crop up with the viral dude complaining that Joker didn't win Best Picture over Parasite. And I, like everyone else who saw it, chuckled to themselves. Maybe made a snide comment. But when I think back on that video, it wasn't an outlier. It was a harbinger of what was to come. Idiot blowhards who are just fans of movies from their childhood, being pissed off that culture is passing them by, they're the norm now. It's an entire cottage industry, and it honestly just depresses me. It makes me wonder if me doing this, me making videos on the internet about movies that I like and how to write movies and how to watch movies, like, if it even matters. I mean, it doesn't really matter, like, in, like, the grand scheme of things. It doesn't matter, like, compared to somebody who's a doctor. But, you know, I'm trying to find value in a place where it seems to be bereft of it. I pour my heart and soul into some of these videos, doing research on quite a bit of them. And then I see some asshat named The Critical Drinker getting hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube for actively lying about Glass Onion and making another video about how She-Hulk is woke and bad, actually. Literally, he made 3 of them. It's this attitude that causes fans to go onto Twitter and send death threats to an Asian actress who was in a movie and they didn't like her character, to the point where she leaves the platform entirely, and the studio that made the movies gets so scared that they give Mary from the Lord of the Rings more lines than she gets in the next movie, and he didn't appear in the movies at all beforehand. But no, movies are meant to be enjoyed. And I'm here to plant my flag. No negativity that isn't productive. I'm the guy who publicly stated his unironic love for Geostorm, for Christ's sakes. No negativity will come from this channel that is not from a genuine place, and in a way to make you guys become better film viewers. And if you're the type of person who stumbled onto this channel and watched all of the video up until this point, and has a problem with anything I've said, whether it's you don't want to see people of color or gay people or political messages or too many jokes or too much CGI or whatever your problem is, might I recommend you watch 12 Angry Men, because that's a movie that has a bunch of white dudes in it. Oh wait, that movie's about finding justice, so that's too political for you. When did that woke piece of trash come out? Movies have messages. Movies have always had messages. And you don't have to agree with a message to like the movie. Die Hard, for example. Don't really like the message, love the movie. Maybe it's best if you all just shut up about movies and TV shows that are geared for children if it doesn't fit your worldview. Because, you guessed it, that Critical Drinker dude, his video says why we don't need any more Disney remakes, or whatever the title is, and I agree with that sentiment, but you don't have to jump on the bandwagon of trashing this new Ariel that has despicable dullards using an AI to fix the new Ariel, just making her a white girl. You just don't have to do that. And if this is truly a Sisyphean struggle, I will just keep rolling that boulder of positivity up the hill, day in and day out, and hope that some of you decide to join in. Well, that was a bit of a downer, huh? Way to end the episode, you know? Like and subscribe and all that, I guess. What are you talking about?
Remember who you are.
Yeah. Remember who I am. I'm gonna turn this thing around and tell you why I love The Lion King. Firstly, Scar is the greatest. Look, I know it's problematic, and everything I stated about the evil gay trope, it's true. But I still believe that Scar is one of the better Disney villains that's ever been made. He's the perfect example of a beta male trying to portray himself as an alpha. He treats those under him with utter contempt in a way to prove to the world that he is their better. But unlike Hades, who has very similar ways of treating his underlings, he's actually threatening, smart, cunning, scary, an actual threat to our hero. There's a reason why the first spoken lines in the movie is delivered by Scar. It's because Jeremy Irons is just that good at portraying an utter dirtbag that we love to watch. And it's so upsetting that Chiwetel Ejiofor in the remake is just sleepwalking through his lines. Because Irons gives just a theatrical flourish to his voice performance that, along with the animation, makes him a dynamic villain who we love to hate. And his little Nuremberg rally in the Be Prepared musical sequence, that's something else. The Lion King. It's Hamlet with cats and a dash of Leni Riefenstahl. I'd like to apologize to Elton John, who is watching, obviously. I am so sorry. I must have hurt your feelings about the earlier comments, because you actually went very hard on this movie, and I greatly appreciate it. Hakuna Matata, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Circle of Life, they're all classic Disney songs for a reason. And not only was I Just Can't Wait to Be King my favorite song growing up, it has the greatest visual accompaniment to a musical number that Disney has ever done. The stylization is just so playful that it enhances the fun that the song is. Sure, we've already established these animals are sentient, thinking beings who can communicate with each other, and some are eaten by others with some murky ethics involved in it, but that doesn't mean it's not awesome to see the heir apparent slide down a giraffe's neck like he's on a playground just wanting to be king. It's great, and seeing that we just got the songs out of the way, let's give big ups to Hans Zimmer for the score. And while he did work on some high-profile films before this, The Lion King, rightfully so, is the one that gave him his first Academy Award win. And you can see this on full display in the Stampede sequence. It's probably the most effective piece of an emotional gut-punch filmmaking that Disney ever did in its Renaissance period. We get this super scared look on Simba's face, and we are immediately connected to him. Throughout the sequence, we shift from hoping that Simba will be freed and fearing the worst. And it's so effective. He's on the ground, and the Stampede's coming for him. Fear. He finds a tree and climbs it. Hope. The tree's clearly not sturdy and not gonna hold on forever. Fear. Zazu finds him in the chaos. Hope. The tree snaps. Fear. Mufasa saves him. Hope. Mufasa struggles to climb. Fear. Scar is there. Hope. Scar does what he does.
Long live the king.
And the aftermath. Simba just huddled next to his father's dead body. I don't know how many times I cried at that sequence growing up, but it was more than a few. It's such an impressive midpoint, and damn, Disney sure does know how to make a good orphan. Half an orphan. Father's dead, mother's fine. Simba is a great example of a character who goes on a journey, and we can see it happen. No, it's not just that he starts as a baby and grows up to a full adult lion, it's more of an emotional change. He starts as this bratty little kid who takes risks and is entitled, with, having his heart in the right place at certain points, but he's a brat, he's a kid, and then he gets his entire world ripped away from him. This leads him to a phase of isolation and self-doubt. But with a little magic and some harsh words said by a good woman who cares about him, he's able to overcome his doubts and his feelings of unworthiness to become the king that is needed, and to avenge his father. I know it's simple, but simple is great when it is done right. Also, lion fight. Rafiki is a crazy shaman, and I love everything about him. And that's it. Yeah, this one was a weird one. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see me do in the future. And, Critical Drinker, I'm coming for you. I'm your worst nightmare.